Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, kings and queens of the land. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to the royals. Good afternoon to the liberated zones of Africa. Good afternoon to Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traore. Good afternoon to Niger, led by General Abdurrahman Tian. Good afternoon to Mali, led by Colonel Asimi Goita. Good afternoon to the sons and daughters of the soil. Good afternoon to KZN, the liberated zone in South Africa, under the leadership of President Zuma, under the leadership of the MK Party. Good afternoon, the British colony. To all the British colonies, good afternoon, South Africa. Good afternoon, Kenya. Good afternoon to Tanzania. Good afternoon, all the British colonies. Good afternoon. Today, my name is Mngoni Mkonto. Uh, Today, we are talking about the reason why they had to remove President Zuma, and the people who had to remove President Zuma uh, out of office. The reason we're talking about this is because it's still very relevant to date. Ken Con says, "Good afternoon, leadership," making the register, marking the register. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to class today. Uh, Donald Trump in America. I'm not sure, since Donald Trump stopped the aid to US, I'm not even sure whether the South Africans or the government is making means to take care of the people who are reliant. South Africa has got over 8 million people who are on HIV, who are HIV positive. South Africa has got more than 8 million people who are on HIV treatments. Close to 2 million people of these are taken care by the American, the fund which was removed in South Africa, meaning they won't have they may not have, let me say, they may not have their regular drugs that they take every day. They may have problems when they want to access that. I'm not even sure if South Africa is prepared to, or else it's going to lead into a disaster. Black people may die in their numbers. But this is what the system wants in any way. They actually don't care about people. Uh, this is what happens when you rely on other countries to take care of yourself. Nkosana Fulani, thank you very much for joining, marking the register as well there. Good afternoon to the Royal Opinion family. I welcome myself to this platform. Is where we get the best analysis, better than those mainstream media propagandist analysis. First student in class, thank you very much for joining there. Nkosana Fulani, today you are very early, and today we're talking about President Zuma. Yesterday there has been a media briefing. MK has had a media briefing yesterday. Another important development that came out of that briefing, interesting. President Zuma inaugural lecture will be held. Umkhonto wesizwe will start President Zuma inaugural lecture. The person who is going to give the lecture is not yet announced. The Secretary General did not announce as yet who is going to be who is going to be the person giving the lecture. This is quite important because is to counter the narrative which has been created in the mainstream media about President Zuma, uh, his history, and President Zuma's legacy. The narrative that has been created by our enemies about President Zuma. So it's very important because this Richard Mia afternoon, kings and queens of the land, I am also in class. Thank you very much for joining Richard Mia. Thank you very much for being part of the class. Thank you very much for all the students to come into the class today. Today we're talking about what made the system to remove President Zuma while President Zuma was towards finishing his term, and why did they replace him with this? You know, black people are the only people who are confused about who are their enemies. You know, the rebranding of Ramaphosa, where they paint Ramaphosa as somebody who is not anymore against white. The uh, South Africans know, everybody knows in South Africa that President Zuma, President Ramaphosa, is aligned to the white system. This is because President Ramaphosa was bought to become the ANC president by the white people. White people have bought him and paid him money to buy other people in order for him to be voted by those people into the position of the ANC president. The first thing he did when he came in, he added the colonial tax, which is the VAT. I want to call it what it is so that people know. It is a colonial tax because it's a tax which was started by the colonial masters in the 1600s, since in the 1600s, in order to force black people to become laborers, in order to force black people to become slave wages. This is what they introduced. It's called the VAT. So they were collecting from black people just for existing. If you exist in the land which the queen has conquered, you have to pay the queen. You owe your allegiance. You owe your living to the queen. So that's how the VAT was introduced. President Ramaphosa repaid immediately white people because they were able to collect after just 2 months after he became president. He increased the VAT by 1%. White people managed to collect from black people about 23 billion in 1 year, repaying all the money that the white people have paid to President Ramaphosa. Uh, South Africa has already repaid all the money that white people have spent to buy black people. So it was for the taxpayers to pay, it was for black people to pay. for their colonial master to install their stooge. In Mozambique, uh, the process of installing their stooge has been completed after killing several people there, after killing more than 300 people. Um, they ended up installing exactly as I was saying, that it will, at the end of the day, the system works like that. They kill a lot of people and then at the end of the day install the person that they want in position. Let me get deeper into what I want to talk about today. President Zuma, when he took over as president of South Africa, what he did something unimaginable. President Zuma is one person or one individual who is uh, huge in the planet, is too big in the planet. The white people in the planet are afraid of President Zuma. He's fighting white people in South Africa and also fighting the international mafias. Basically, fighting the international mafias. De Klerk have already, yes, 2 days ago, I showed a video where de Klerk confessed that uh, it was the biggest political shift when President Zuma became president of the ANC since 1994, or since they started apartheid. Since they started apartheid in South Africa, for the first time, when President Zuma took over as president, it was the biggest political shift um, in South Africa that has ever happened. So President Zuma went to the BRICS nation. He went to Russia. He went to um, Brazil. He went to China in order to influence these people, to influence them to form a political alliance, basically, which will help to create an economic alliance, which will be an alternative to the dollar. It was started by President Zuma. Sorry. In 2014, let me first mention this. President Donald Trump of America came in to resolve two issues of white people. The first issue that President Trump is in to resolve is the population of the white people in America. The population of white people in America, uh, President Trump, that is the first job that he was appointed to do, to revive the population of white people in America. Secondly, to revive the collapsing dollar in the world. The value of the dollar is collapsing. President Trump came in trusted to help about these two issues, to actually help America, to help white people save their population, and also to help America rescue the dollar from collapse. That is the task that President uh, Trump was given. That is what he is pursuing in America. So when America realized that in actual fact, uh, the BRIC nation have already formed, the South cooperation is becoming bigger, and these people are going to uh, exceed the trading in a different currency other than the dollar. The Americans decided to go for the countries, uh, for the BRIC countries, to destroy the BRIC countries in order to avoid collapsing the dollar. The first country they went to Brazil. They removed the president, President Lula da Silva, who was the president. They took him to jail. They removed him and took him to jail. They came in South Africa. They removed President Zuma and put him to jail. Exactly in similar way as they did with Lula da Silva in Brazil, without any crime that is committed. Lula da Silva was arrested to go and spend time in jail. President Zuma in South Africa as well was arrested to go and spend time in jail without doing a single crime, without committing a single crime. The crime he committed was to start the BRICS cooperation, the BRICS economic cooperation. That is the reason why President Zuma was removed as South African president, because of his contribution in BRICS. They went to Russia to start the war in Ukraine. China was a little bit too big for them to be able to deal with China, to destroy China. So they started with countries that they can actually manage to destroy. They started with South Africa, went to Brazil. They started with Brazil, removing Lula da Silva, came to South Africa, removed President Zuma, take him to jail. In India, they went and removed the political, the political party which was leading since India was freed from the British. They brought a new political party which is pro-America. Prime Minister Modi was uh, elected. Now, Prime Minister Modi is in coalition. Prime Minister Modi was elected when America wanted to change the leadership of India to put somebody who is going to be pro-America in their system, in their leadership. So they had to remove uh, the leading party in India. They removed President Zuma in South Africa in order to deal with BRICS. They removed President Lula da Silva in Brazil. They've put China into massive sanctions, economic sanctions, to put pressure. Donald Trump has also threatened that he's going to put 150% sanctions to all the BRIC countries if they continue to talk about de-dollarizing or using their own currencies to trade. If they don't want to use the dollar, if they talk about trading uh, among themselves without the dollar, then Donald Trump is threatening that he's going to put tariffs, 150% tariffs in all the countries that are planning to de-dollarize. How do the tariff works, if one may explain? When he says he's putting 100% tariffs in all the goods that comes from South Africa, it means anything that that is bought from South Africa, if the Americans are buying it for 10 rand, they must pay 10 rand to the American government, meaning it's taxing the ordinary people. When he talks about tariff, basically he's taxing ordinary Americans, making them pay higher amounts of money in order to receive goods and services from private companies who are buying things from outside America. At the end of the day, the person who is going to suffer by tariffs are the Americans, who are the end consumers, the end consumers of the products which are hit by those tariffs. Because if you put in 150 tariffs, then the business person will only transfer the cost to the people who are consuming the products. So at the end of the day, the Americans are going to suffer when Donald Trump uh, gives tariffs to all these countries. When he talks about tariffs, he talks about collection from poor people. And that collection from poor people is given to the rich people. They collect from the poor people to sponsor the bigger companies. They collect from the slaves to give to the slave master. So food in America is going to be very expensive because of the tariffs. Not only food, essential things, essential services that America is getting from other countries is going to be very expensive because of the tariffs. The tariffs only affect American people. It does not necessarily affect the people from outside. It may affect the person who's selling, because maybe the person who is in America may not afford to buy the goods anymore, knowing that there won't be any person to actually buy that thing at that price, which is too expensive. So, but basically, what Donald Trump wants to do, he wants to put tariffs in all the goods that comes from the BRIC countries, 150% tariffs. That's what he says. For anyone who talks about de-dollarization, I would be playing the video, giving the evidence. Usually, people don't understand. When I put the evidence here, they immediately send me a copyright issue, even though there's policy, YouTube policy for uh, what we call positive use of other content, fair use of other content, fair use. When I use the video to demonstrate to other people, it's fair use. I'm adding my opinion on top of it. So there's a policy that allows that in YouTube, but immediately when I share information here, they hit me with um copyright. So normally I don't like sharing anymore. That's why I just continue to talk, and sometimes even when I have to produce evidence, sometimes I'm not giving the evidence, because immediately I start sharing, then it becomes a problem. The video will not go anywhere, or it will not be watched, it will be stopped. So the reason President Zuma was removed, it was because of the collapse of the dollar, the de-dollarization. It was because of his suggestion to form the BRIC alliance. The reason at the moment Donald Trump is fighting, even though there's no expropriation of land without compensation in South Africa and there's no legislation to that end. It's a lie that President Ramaphosa signed anything that would help black people to expropriate land without compensation. It's a lie. And it's a lie. It's just a game that President Ramaphosa is playing in order to rebrand himself to look like he is for black people. Black people are the only people in the world who supports their enemies. Shocking. Black people are the only people in the world who gives power and support their enemies. Black people does not buy from black people. They buy from white companies. They don't trust black people when they are talking. Many people don't trust me when I talk, especially when I look like this, because I must not appear like a black man. I don't know what form I must take in order for people to understand. But black people are the only people who are fooled in this planet to support their enemies. President Ramaphosa is getting rebranded because the white people, they want to reuse him again in the ANC because they can't find his replacement in the ANC. They want him to come back. They don't want the election in 2027 of the ANC because this will allow President Zuma to come back to the ANC. And their biggest enemy is President Zuma, who is going to indeed expropriate the land without compensation. Not the fake one that Ramaphosa has signed now. You see, all the white people in South Africa are relaxed, are not worried. They are even telling Donald Trump to relax about this expropriation of land without compensation, because they know this expropriation of land without compensation signed by President Ramaphosa does not mean anything. It's only for the rebranding of Ramaphosa to look for him to look uh, as a hero of black people. President Ramaphosa is one leader, uh, basically a leader who was just parachuted into the leadership of the ANC, a businessman who has never built any business, a unionist who has never worked in any mine, a mine worker who has never worked in any mine. President Ramaphosa, a businessman who has never started a business, a, 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 a rich man who has never done any means to work hard to get his money. He's just fake. A lot of things about him. These people are just fake. I mean, Tulima Donsela, they gave a professor, uh, Professor Tulima Donsela, did not qualify as a professor. She did not even do a honors degree. She did not even do a honors degree. uh, Tulima Donsela, who is now who today is a professor. These people are just given because what they did, what she did about President Zuma impressed white people, and they want her to have credibility among black people. They gave her the title of professor. She earned the title of professor uh, when she took President Zuma to when she lied about the about President Zuma, about Kandla, that President Zuma has taken money to spend for himself in Kandla. When she lied about that, she got rewarded by uh, given a professorship, fake professorship. Professor Madonsela is fake. She did not study for to become professor. She does not have a doctorate, and she did not do a thesis. They say she actually did. She actually wrote a book. But there's many people who wrote a book who are not called professors. Maybe all the people who write books should now be professors. So, but the issue that I wanted to talk about, or the issue that I wanted to emphasize today, the people uh, who have come out against President Zuma, the white people who have come out against President Zuma, are the same people who will be coming out against President Zuma in this era where we're going. We are going through a very dangerous time. We are trading through a very dangerous time in South Africa. The white people are ready. The colonial army, the colonial police are ready to be unleashed. The colonial dogs, uh, like Balula, are ready to unleash uh, terror into black people. Killing of black people does not mean anything. It's a very minor thing. The reason we're going through this time it's because the President Ramaphosa is not legitimate in his position. They robbed the elections. Now there will be a court process which is going to expose that Ramaphosa did not win the election. When that happens, then it will bring chaos. It may even remove Ramaphosa. People may even get angry and remove Ramaphosa. So before that is exposed, they want to control this thing. They want to be the one who are actually proactive about it. The people who have removed President Zuma from his positions in the ANC and also as president of South Africa are still well and alive and are still uh, strangling our necks. These people are planning very evil things that are going to happen in South Africa. They are going to shoot to a lot of people. Black people should be careful. MK party. That's why President Zuma has said through his wisdom that black people should not go to protest against anything. They should not even protest against the election. Because, like what happened in Mozambique, when you protest against the election, they sent the colonial armies to come and destroy you. One of the colonial armies which was sent to Mozambique to go and kill Mozambicans there, it's South African army and the Rwandan army. These are the most trusted armies in Africa. that are used to go and uh, fight on behalf of the colonial masters. So what they do, they will alienate, they will destroy anyone who's got different views, and nothing will happen. They will go ahead and do what they want at the end of the day, like they did in Mozambique. Mozambican people rejected President Chapo, but today Chapo is president in Mozambique, though rejected by the majority. In South Africa, majority rejected President Ramaphosa. President Ramaphosa is president today, even though rejected by the majority of South Africans. They will defend this victory. They are going to defend this victory because if what it means for them, if they don't defend this victory, what it means for them, it's total suffering, it's total collapse of their economies. They can't afford that South Africa be liberated. The British, the Americans cannot afford to leave South Africa to be liberated. There will be poverty in Britain, there will be poverty in America. South Africa has got a lot of resources which is being stolen. The resources which are supposed uh, to be used to to give services to black people, to give free electricity to South Africans. The mines that are supposed to be repossessed by South Africans and profit be made from our own minerals. Let us remember, all of us, that the British, since they set up the colonial uh, administration in South Africa, it has never been changed. It remained the British colonial setup. President Zuma threatens to dismantle the British setup in South Africa, colonial setup in South Africa. Because if you talk about changing the judiciary, if you talk about changing the constitutional supremacy to parliamentary supremacy, then you are dismantling the system of the British in South Africa. The colonial system in South Africa is getting dismantled once President Zuma takes over. White people knows exactly that President Zuma means his word. He does not play. That's why they try and make him. My only concern is black people do trust these white people when they lie about President Zuma. How can we trust our enemies to tell us about our heroes? How can black people trust their enemies, the people who have come here to repossess their land, the people who have come here to steal their resources, the people who have come here to make them slaves? How do we trust to eat their food? How do we trust them to give us information about our own people? So uh, the South African, I wanted to, uh, before the last words, I wanted to say, let us brace ourselves for tougher times that are coming. A war is coming on black people. White people, I have said it before, I have said that black people will not be liberated through the ballot. Though President Zuma is insisting that black people should be liberated through the ballot instead of the bullet. But the people, the enemies themselves, they trust the bullet than the ballot. Kencon saying they trust them because of house Negroes like Malema. Yes, we've got that is the problem. We've always had these people, the people like Ramaphosa, the people like Julius Malema, people, all of these people who are basically allowing the white system to do as they please on black people, allowing themselves to become properties of white people. Because if they buy you, if they buy you, you are just a property. You are no more a human being. You are just a property that they can use whenever they want to use. Uh, South Africans, black people in the MK party, until towards end of May, we need to brace ourselves because these people are planning evil things against black people. They want chaos so that the truth cannot be exposed. When it's chaotic, then everybody wants peace and the truth cannot be exposed. The truth about how they stole the election, they will not want that truth to be exposed. And if they allow the court process to happen, then this they may get exposed. And when they get exposed, the problem is they lose a lot, trillions that they are going to lose in the mines, trillions that they are going to lose in the land. Remember when white people came into South Africa, the first landmarks that they actually captured is the rivers. The river economy is quite important in South Africa. The river economy is what black people used to survive in. Black people used to survive in river economy. They used to settle alongside the rivers. They were pushed out of the rivers to the dry land, making it impossible for black people to produce, to become farmers and to run businesses, because water is important for industries. Water is important for agriculture. Water is important for life. Access has been blocked to these rivers. To date, black people don't own resorts. because the resorts are along the river lines. Can you imagine when President Zuma takes over and nationalize the land, expropriate the land without compensation? The expropriation of land without compensation means the water resources are no more private. The water resources belongs to international people. The Orange River, the Oliphants River, Blade River, all the rivers in South Africa belongs to white people. It's private assets. That's why in other areas we don't have water, because the water belongs to private people. That's why in other areas we've got water crisis while we've got so many rivers that are running, because the rivers are private in South Africa. Black people used to sustain themselves. The tradition, the medicine, the culture of black people is closer to the river. The removing of black people from the river economy was significant, too significant in order to impoverish them. White people will not allow this to be reversed by somebody who comes from Kandla, called President Zuma or what. They will not allow that to happen, to reverse that process. The white people have already said, you had the Afri Forum, they say they are actually indigenous. They call themselves indigenous in South Africa. They've actually become indigenous. That's what they say. They are indigenous to South Africa. And because they are indigenous to South Africa, they are not going anywhere. Roshni Shanmugam, John, very interesting. Bring out more hidden truth. Sure, this is very interesting. Bring out more hidden truth. Thank you very much. That is my job. That's why YouTube don't like me. That's why you see very censored, because I reveal all of this truth that these people don't want people to know. Black people have been made to suffer in South Africa. The suffering of black people is not because of their stupidity. It's because of the repossession of their land. The economy that we are talking about, the water economy, the river economy, it's important for mining. It is important for industrialization, for manufacturing. Is important. Is important uh, for education. Is important for food production. So these resources are blocked out of black people. I actually visited a resort recently over a weekend, and they quickly reminded me that I was landless. They told me the time that I should be leaving. Quickly, they told me that you need to be out here by 5 o'clock. The landless, the people who stole the land, telling the owners of the land that they should be out of the place by 5 o'clock. making more money out of us who own the land. From our land, they make money from us. They make money from our land. They make money from us because we also want these nice things. Black people do like to have that as well. That relaxing experience, you go and have a relaxing experience in a resort. You pay white people, but the land actually belongs to our grandfathers. It was stolen from them through the war, through the guns. That was the last thing I wanted to say. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining the live stream. Uh, Give us your opinion. Tell us what you think about the topic that we're talking about today. I've been trying to explain the reason why President Zuma was actually removed. And the reason I was explaining that it's because it's an ongoing thing, it's something which is still happening. It's people who are still fighting even today. The people who have removed him as president are still the people who are trying to put him in jail today. Are still the people who have prevented him to lead the MK party. Are still the people who are sending infiltration into the MK party. They are very hardworking. They don't rest. So I want to thank everybody for joining the live stream. Click the like button and subscribe. I think this will be the end of the live stream. Enjoy your day. Give us your comment. Tell us what you think.